It's certainly a privilege for me to give my right of reply with regard to the debate that's taken place on my private member's bill C-311. I truly want to thank all of the members who participated in the debate on my private member's bill, and certainly want to acknowledge the members of the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs that I serve with on that committee that have presented their points of view on this bill, and I'm so pleased to work with them on that committee to make sure that we're continuing to honor the service of those brave men and women who serve our country, past and present, and make sure that we're doing the right things to honor their service. I think we can all agree on the importance of Remembrance Day in Canada. We also share the desire to ensure that we are appropriately honoring those brave Canadians in uniform who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. My bill is a modest measure that seeks to change the language in the Holidays Act to make Remembrance Day a legal holiday and ensure consistency of language is reflected in the Act. This ensures consistency with both Canada Day and Victoria Day in the Holidays Act, and in my view, elevates the status of Remembrance Day to put it on an equal footing with those other days. Some have expressed that this provision does more than that, however, but let's be clear that my bill, by adding the words legal, does not impact the Canada Labour Code, which establishes the policy on non-working days for holidays. Federally speaking, the day is already and will remain a federal paid non-working day. Furthermore, and I want to be very clear on this point, it is up to each province and territory to determine whether Remembrance Day on November 11th is a statutory holiday or day off in their jurisdiction. This is what determines whether there is no school and whether it is a public paid non-working day. This bill does not and cannot make Remembrance Day a national holiday because it is not within the purview of Parliament to do so. I'm hoping that this bill may provide an occasion to the provinces and territories who do not already do so determine whether or not Remembrance Day should indeed be a statutory holiday. And I know some of my colleagues in the debate have mentioned that this does not make a statutory holiday, but it cannot. But what it can do is elevate it and put it on an equal footing and hopefully provide an occasion to those jurisdictions who do not already do so to allow it to be a statutory day. There are examples also from of other jurisdictions that do not mark it as a so-called statutory holiday, but mark the solemn occasion in other ways. For example, in my home province of Nova Scotia, it is separate from other statutory holidays, but it's kept in force in what is called the Remembrance Day Act to ensure people have time off to attend ceremonies. I would like to see this across the country, but of course our Constitution requires that we respect the jurisdiction of the provinces in this regard. I want to address one issue that has been brought up by some who oppose the bill, and that is that they argue that they believe it is that students should be in school on November 11th to ensure they are marking the day and reflecting on what November 11th at 11 a.m. means for our country. I respect their point of view. However, in my experience in Nova Scotia, and I believe in most places in Canada, it is far more meaningful for the students to learn the importance of Remembrance Day and the sacrifice of our forces in the days leading up to November 11th. Veterans come into the schools during Veterans Week, and in addition to the teachings, there is also a remembrance service in schools with veterans attending. Of course, if these were marked on November 11th at 11, veterans marking the occasion with the community could not attend those school services. If they do have time off, then students can mark November 11th in the community and with other veterans at their public ceremony. We have seen increasing attendances, including children and their families in Nova Scotia. I believe that all Canadians should be able to have the same experience and that all veterans should have the opportunity to be publicly appreciated for their service and remembered on November 11th as a collective experience with the whole community. As mentioned in my speech to begin this debate on the first hour of debate, provisions 2 and 3 are not at all essential to my intent of raising the profile of Remembrance Day, and since I now recognize that those are problematic provisions, I support their removal at committee, and I will ask the Standing Committee on Canadian Heritage for their removal if my bill is sent to them following a debate at second reading. We should therefore turn our minds just to Section 1 of this bill. As my final words in this debate on Bill C-311, of course this bill is about November 11th. But I am sure we all agree that we must show respect to our veterans and members of Canadian Forces all throughout the year and honor them in our words and in our deeds. As we come into the holiday season, let us keep them and their families top of mind and always show them extra kindness and warmth for all that they do for our country. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.